This research paper, titled Tackling Social Bias Against the Poor, a Dataset and Taxonomy on Aporophobia, is authored by Georgina Kurto from the United Nations University Institute in Macau, Svetlana Kirichenko and Isar Najajhali from the National Research Council Canada in Ottawa, and Muhammad Hamad Fahim Siddiqui from the University of Ottawa. The corresponding authors are Georgina Kurto and Svetlana Kirichenko. The paper addresses aporophobia, which is defined as the rejection, aversion, fear, and contempt directed towards people living in poverty. This bias is a significant barrier to efforts aimed at eradicating poverty, which is the first goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The authors emphasize that aporophobia not only worsens the challenges faced by those in poverty but also hinders the creation and implementation of effective policies. To understand the scope of poverty, the paper notes that around 712 million people worldwide are affected, with sub-Saharan Africa having the highest number at 411 million living below $2.15 a day. However, poverty is not limited to developing regions. In the United States, 37.9 million people live in poverty, and in Europe, 4.6 million are at risk. Traditional approaches to poverty reduction, which focus on wealth redistribution, have been losing effectiveness. Instead, the paper aligns with the capability approach to human development, pioneered by thinkers like Amartya Sen and Martha Nussbaum. The capability approach views poverty not just as a lack of money, but as a deficiency in people's capabilities, the things they can do and be, such as maintaining good health, getting an education, or living with dignity. This perspective shifts the focus from mere economic aid to enhancing individual well-being and agency. The authors argue that narratives like the American dream, or the idea of equal opportunity can sometimes blame the poor for their circumstances, making it harder to address root causes. In this context, the paper introduces aporophobia as a key factor that perpetuates poverty. When society views the poor as undeserving or responsible for their situation, it becomes difficult for policymakers to gain support for mitigation strategies. The authors draw on various studies to show how aporophobia manifests in beliefs and actions, influencing public discourse. To tackle this, the researchers collaborated with non-profits and governmental organizations to collect and analyze data from social media, specifically English tweets from 5 world regions. They manually annotated a corpus of these tweets for 2 main aspects. First, direct expressions of aporophobia, such as statements that show bias or discrimination against the poor, and second, statements that refer to, criticize, or discuss aporophobic views or actions by others. This approach allows for a comprehensive understanding of how aporophobia appears in online conversations. Based on this annotated data, the team developed a taxonomy, a structured classification system, for categories of aporophobic attitudes and actions expressed through language on social media. This taxonomy categorizes expressions into types, such as blaming the poor for their situation, expressing contempt, or describing discriminatory actions. By doing so, the paper provides a framework to identify and track these harmful beliefs at scale. The researchers then trained several machine learning classifiers to automatically detect aporophobia in social media posts. They identified key challenges in this process, including the subtlety of language, the context-dependent nature of tweets, and the potential for sarcasm or indirect expressions to complicate detection. Despite these hurdles, the work demonstrates the potential for using natural language processing techniques to monitor and mitigate aporophobic content online. Overall, this study contributes to the broader effort to combat poverty by operationalizing the concept of aporophobia. It offers valuable language resources, like the annotated dataset and taxonomy, which can be used by researchers, policymakers, and organizations to analyze societal biases. By identifying and tracking aporophobic views on platforms like Twitter, the authors pave the way for interventions that promote more equitable discourse and support poverty alleviation efforts aligned with the capability approach. This research highlights the role of language in shaping perceptions of poverty and underscores the need for interdisciplinary strategies to address both the economic and social dimensions of this global issue.